and welcome back to another edition of Taking Over. I am, of course, OLED Ed Fries, joined as always by the natural Astrid Pizarro. Astrid, how are you doing today?
Doing all right, going through the pain as it is, but I'll be
You're
fine. How are you?
You're a sleepy girl today, aren't you?
Yeah.
Cinderella is up past her bedtime, but we're here to talk about JCW. But we got some friends in the chat. Zach Minger in here telling us that it's National Candy Day. Good to know. I also saw him in the Queen of the Indies stream with Shug D, which takes off of our show last week where Shug D was on there. So I had asked him a question about Ashe wrestling, and he was very instructive in that, so it was very nice. I can't wait to watch the full interview a little bit later on tonight. We got Bobby in the chat saying, hello, my friends. How are you this evening? I'm doing good. I'm very excited because this show was a roller coaster.
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
We have some upkeep to do at the beginning of the show here because this is Jersey Championship Wrestling. Something me and Astrid didn't realize going into this is we have said a few times on here that one of the promotions we didn't plan on covering very much was GCW. Neither one of us are into the deathmatch thing. Neither one of us are really into the vibe of typically what GCW does. With the exception of Bloodsport, GCW but that being said, GCW is a vital part of the independent scene. GCW is the collective. For those of you that know of the collective when it comes to WrestleMania weekend, a good, I want to say 60% of those shows have GCW involvement, whether it be financial, help running the shows, help booking the venues. They host a ton of those indie shows that we all love to see and talk about come WrestleMania weekend. GCW is probably one of the biggest, most well-known independent wrestling organizations around the country. They have access to an incredible amount of stars from every promotion. And again, a lot of these names that we're going to be talking about are names we've probably seen or heard on other shows. That being said, GCW really isn't our cup of tea for the majority of things. However, we didn't know that going into Jersey Championship Wrestling, and the Luna Vachon Invitational is very much something we like and wanted to cover. So, that off the top, you can, of course, find them at Jersey CW on Twitter. You can find their YouTube stuff at Game Changer Wrestling, where this show is broadcast from. And off the top, what did you think of I'm trying to get Nick Knowledge and Veda Scott. Obviously, we both know who Veda Scott is. I think almost all of us know. Nick Knowledge and Veda Scott. What do you think of the commentary team? And, of course, Emil J. doing the ring announcing.
Yeah, I feel like they did really well with it because they give us so much information about every person, whether it was a tag team, like the story going into it. There's a lot of background into everything, and I really enjoyed that. So definitely one of my favorite teams that we had here so far.
It's hard coming off Chris and Swole to go to Nick. And again, that's no slight to Nick and Veda. Nick and Veda were fantastic. But coming off Chris and Swole, it was a tough act to follow, let me tell you.
Oh, yeah.
The one thing I like about Emil J is while so many ring announcers want to be, and again, I love the Finkel style ring announcer, that professional suit and tie, I'm a professional ring announcer, the Rich Paladinos of the world. Again, I think Rich is one of the best in the business. We both love, why can I never remember her name when I want to talk about her? Val Capone. Val Capone.
Oh. Wow.
We both adore Val Capone. We think she's great. And then you have Emil J, who looks like he rolled out of bed to come do his ring announcing. He looks like he's in a pair of sweats and a t-shirt. He's got on his hat. He's just there to be one of the people. And you know what? I like that because that fits what I feel the GCW vibe is. He fits that promotion well because, oh boy, will this crowd tell you everything they think of you, no matter how vulgar it's going to be.
Oh, yeah.
But we first get the announcement of the explanation of the Luna Vachon Invitational. There are going to be 3 fatal 4-way matches, with each match's winner going into a triple threat match, where we go ahead and have those 3 people in a triple threat elimination match, and the winner of that will become the first ever Luna Vachon Invitational champion trophy winner. I don't know if this is going to be an annual thing or if this is a one-off. The trophy looked great. I love this.
Mm-hmm.
It's dark, it's black, it's kind of gothic. It gave me Luna vibes as soon as I saw it, because while some people will remember Luna Vachon, the younger fans in our audience, running around with gold dust or things like that, I will always remember Luna Vachon running around with Bam Bam Bigelow. She was in black latex. She, was running around with the guy who had a shaved head with a flame on it. Like, that's the Luna Vachon I know and love and remember. That's the one I'll never forget. So Luna was a large part of my childhood, because in that era of wrestling, she was different. She was unique. She didn't wrestle a ton in the WWF, but she mixed it up with the guys. She got involved. And she was at a time where female valets weren't everywhere in anything. This is before the Sunnies, before the Sables. It's after the Miss Elizabeth, but it's so far after her that she's not really around at this point. So she's kind of in her own little vein in that time period that I remember her from. We got Bobby in the chat saying, I remember Luna from her debut in WWF, so the time I got to meet her, greatest person in wrestling ever. Go back and watch the matches she did. Oh, no, I'm not saying that her matches, that I didn't see her wrestle. She had matches. They were fantastic. But she didn't have a ton of them. But I still think that she made such a mark on a young Ed. On a young old Ed, she made a big mark. She made an impression. Because, again, it was something I wasn't seeing in my little white suburb. I wasn't seeing a chick with a ton of tattoos or piercings walking around in black leather or black latex. Those are things I didn't see on the streets where I was wandering around in the little suburb town going, doo, 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 doo. I didn't see that. So I was exposed to something different. I don't know how much exposure you have, Astrid, to Luna Vachon going into this.
Not much, to be honest. Obviously, we have our age differences, and we started like watching wrestling at different times too. But no, from what I've seen, is always like you said, like I don't want to call it face paint, but I guess the stuff in her face like that, and that darker kind of outfit as well. But I didn't watch her wrestle. I knew more about her, like almost like a valet sort of thing in her role. But I didn't watch her wrestle or anything like that because it wasn't around the time I was watching. But I thought it was interesting that it was named after her, because we usually get the Fabulous Moolah, the Mae Youngs, and things like that. And I feel like Luna doesn't get mentioned often like she should be. So it's very interesting when that they named the invitational after her. But I was very glad to see it happening.
And just for our audience who might not know, Luna. It's something different. Those are legit tattoos on her head. The lightning was not painted on. Yeah, those are legit. Yeah, she was indeed a wild child of the wrestling business. But we get right into the invitation, because remember, we have to have these 3 matches, then we have to give these ladies a break and come back to them later on. And then there's a bit of a surprise with that towards the end of the show. We'll get to that in a bit. But we start with what could be a main event on almost any other wrestling card, was our opening contest. I swore this was going to be like, if you wanted to pick from the 12 women in this tournament, you could pick any one combination of the 12, and that could have been a main event anywhere. But we got Jada Stone taking on Maya World, taking on Kenzie Paige, taking on Billie Starkz. Astrid, what the hell was this match?
I think it was interesting to see in that we get so many companies being represented in just this one match, because we get Billie representing Ring of Honor / AEW, Kenzie, who was just part of NWA not too long ago, Jada, that it's still part of TNA, Maya, who's one of the best unsigned female wrestlers at the moment, especially. I feel like she's taking over the world, especially now. So I thought that was pretty interesting to see what each one of them represents something a little bit different going into the match. But let me tell you, especially loved all the women's matches on this card. So I'm very glad that this is something that we were able to play. Just seeing the graphics in itself, I won. These are the ones that are gonna steal the show, to be honest. And they were not wrong. For me, this is the first like full length match that I have with Jada Stone. And let me tell you, I'm glad now I know why they call her the Spark, because this girl's everywhere. How does she do that? I have no freaking idea. But the way that she moves, it's so quick and so agile. And I love everything that how she handles her handstands, for example. She does her moves too. She's so smooth in the ring. It's just so incredible to watch. But I also want to give her that support for being a little fun size like I am too. Oh, hey Jamie, probably you most likely.
Jamie, trust me, there will be no shortage of Lena Kross love when we get to me. Don't you worry about that.
But I love the fact that she moves everywhere. This is also not the first time that I see obviously Billie Starkz. I'm already very familiar with her. It is the first time I do watch Kenzie Paige. I have seen like clips here and there from NWO with Pretty Empowered. And Maya, I already seen bits and pieces of Maya as it is as well. But I feel like they had a great combination in this match because no matter what happened, it just reminded me a lot of NXT because there was always something going on in the ring. There was no like moment that was very quiet for us to like rest. Everything was go, go, go. And you could see the combination that we had of like there were moments that even Maya and Jada teamed up against the girls. And they would always kind of switch back and forth. But one of the things that I loved was Jada doing that Matrix kind of move that kind of Trish Stratus used to do, and then turning that into like a head scissors, like stuff like that she used to do. That was so incredible to watch. And at one point, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was Maya that did like a sunset bomb to Billie, and then she threw her into Kenzie and Jada at the end too. And that was the moment that really got everybody hyped up because they're all on taking the moment to rest there too. But yeah, there were so many things from this match. It was like I love the pacing of it. I love the way they were able to move and just every single one of the space they had there too. And it was just incredible to watch it. And I loved in the end how even seeing her the way she is one of like almost like one of the top people in the match in itself. With Billie taking over with a tombstone at the end to Maya to win the match. But I feel like with this type of match and with all the matches with the women, it was like you couldn't go wrong with picking anybody here, to be honest. And I'm like, I don't know how they picked the winners, because that would have been if it was me, that would have been difficult job as it is because there's so many great picks here.
Out of a hat, you pick the winners out of. But no, honestly, Billie wins because Billie is the biggest star in this match. No offense to any of these women, Billie Starkz is, as we've said, probably the best women's wrestler not in WWE right now. I don't. As much as everybody loves Athena, and trust me, I do too. Don't get me wrong. I love Athena. I think Billie's better. I think Billie's better than Athena. I think ROH, AEW ROH has made a mistake not putting this title on Billie for the last 2 years. I think because you're seeing how good Athena can be on AEW proper all by herself. She doesn't need the title. She doesn't need to be the forever ROH champion. I love the fact that she's 1,000+ day champion. I love that she's up there with Samoa Joe as like, I think the two only 1,000-day champions in Ring of Honor history. But she doesn't need it anymore. Give this title to Billie. Let Billie defend this title around the world. Put that title on her. Every woman in this match stepped up. This is my first time seeing Kenzie Paige. I had seen the rest of the competitors in this match before on various different shows. We just covered Meyer World last week on Ashe Wrestling, and we can't wait. We're going back to Ashe later in early December with a special guest, hopefully. So very excited for that one. So we'll be back.
Oh, I forgot that we can share that tidbit that we got last week afterwards.
I mean, I don't know. I think we should keep that for ourselves. I don't think we need to talk about that. Okay. We can keep that for ourselves, a little bit of wrestling knowledge that we know that everybody else doesn't. But no, this, as you said, this match was fantastic. This match could have stole the show on any card, on any show. It was just fantastic. That tombstone from Billie, like, it's just insane. But It's a great way to get her a big win. And again, it gets her the most rest from all the other matches. How many CPA shirts are you giving the first of the Luna Vachon Invitational matches?
We're doing it out of 5?
Of course. CPA has
Okay.
had 5 shirts at one point.
As I
Remember,
said,
if you want to go higher, you're going to make this poor man have to pull out a 6-shirt match. And I don't know if CPA is going to be happy about that.
I don't think I've seen him wear 10 shirts, so I'm gonna go with like the 5 as the limit so far. Oh my goodness, it's tough, but I'll give it the 5. I'll give it the 5 CPA shirts. They deserve it.
I'm going to give 4.5 because honestly, as good as this match is, it's not my favorite of the 3 qualifiers. It's not.
Really?
This match is great. It's not my favorite of the 3 qualifiers.
Ew.
We move on to match number 2. Ava Everett with LSG taking on Emersyn Jayne, Kylie Alexa, and the homie, the Nomi, Gabby Forza. I feel like there's no women's wrestler on the independent scene that I've seen more than Gabby Forza. And every time I still see something I haven't seen from her before. It's insane. How, like, you don't understand. She's a Northeast wrestler. I see her wrestle all the time. And she still continues to come out with things that boggle my mind about how she can do it. At one point, she had, I believe, both Emersyn and Ava on her shoulders at the same time. And she was doing that like John Cena Big Show edge spot from WrestleMania. We do have to talk about, though, LSG. Because LSG is one of the best douchebag heels that we've seen in quite some time. Him and Ava are so good at the gimmick that they do. Because I want to believe that they're sweet, nice, and wonderful people. But if all I have to do is watch them on TV, I think that they are the 2 worst people in the world. Because they will do everything and anything to make the other one successful. And yes, we'll get back to Ava trying to make sure LSG is successful a bit later. But this match, to me, is all about one person. The person I'd never seen, and to be honest, hadn't heard of before. Emersyn Jayne. She was spectacular in this match. I loved watching her do all of her things. Because she wasn't the one at the forefront of this match. That was Gabby Forza. Gabby was the one that got all the cool spots here. But Emersyn Jayne was always in the right spot, at the right time, doing the right things, and she instantly caught my eye. Again, Ava Everett is fantastic. We've seen her on MLW. We've seen Gabby Forza. I want to say this is Gabby's, 5th time on taking over at this point since we swapped over. Because again, like we said when I was covering Dreamwave a couple weeks ago, I think Gabby Forza is one of the top 5 women's wrestlers in the world on the independent scene right now. I have no problem putting her in the top 5. And I think, as scary as this is to say, I think she's the only top 5 women's wrestler in the world on this entire card. And that includes Billie Starkz, who I think is probably one of the better, because again, I don't consider Billie Starkz an independent wrestler. As many indies as she still does, she's signed to a major company. And to me, that takes you out of the independent scene.
That's true.
What did you think of this match?
Yeah, for me, we have already seen Ava before. I've seen a little bit of Kylie, like I did with Kenzie, Paige from NWA. Gabby, we have seen a couple times. So to me, it was my introduction to Emersyn as well. And she was really a standout in this match as well. I feel like if I could name somebody, she's like the MVP of this match. I feel like she really took control of it. She had her spot. She highlighted herself, her too. And like you said, that part with Gabby, I think she did a Samoan drop, and it was to Kylie and Ava. So that was really like impressive to watch her have both of them on her shoulders. And then at one point, Emersyn did a German bridge to Gabby as well. So that was beautiful to watch too. But yeah, I feel like she was so in control of it. and she was such a highlight for me in this match, and I really enjoyed her more than I thought she would. I just knew she was part of like that UK scene, and that's all I knew about her, but I hadn't seen a match of hers. And this is the first time I seen her. I was like, I hope she gets booked more often in the US because she did really well in this match. And I was just in that moment like, I want to see more of her because I just like what I saw from her tonight.
And gladly we're gonna, because she wins this match and she's now in the final with Billie Starkz. GCW does something that I like from chaotic wrestling that a lot of indies don't have the ability to do. JCW here puts in a lot of vignette packages to explain things. And thank you for putting vignette packages to explain some of these things, because it really helped know what was going on for some of these things. Here we got a thing with Bryan Keith, the bounty hunter, and the guy he was running with in JCW, Foot, who isn't on this card, who got replaced by somebody else as they're trying to deal with a bounty given to them by the Foxcatcher, which is a story I still need to dig a little more into, because after watching this show, I'm very intrigued as to what's going on with this storyline, and I need to know more. But we get into the third and final first round match in the Luna Vachon Invitational. And this has my two favorite people. And this is indeed my favorite match, because we have Nixi XS, who is one of my new favorite wrestlers. I adored everything that Nixi did in this match. We also have in this Janai Kai, somebody who Bobby's going to be very familiar with, because she is indeed and one of MLW's top featherweights, if she's still hanging around there. I've seen enough Janai Kai from all of the Bloodsport matches, because she is fantastic. Yes, any wrestling company who can edit vignettes and stuff like those editors deserve massive props. They do. Yes, she is the longest reigning MLW Women's Champion of all time, and she is no longer there. Okay. Well, if you want to book her, go ahead and book her. We also have Mara Sade. Yep, I have the same feelings about her now that I still had when she wrestled at NXT.
Really?
Yep, I still can't get into Mara Sade. And then of course we do have Jamie's here to talk about, who I'm here to talk about. The self-proclaimed tallest bitch in wrestling. Her words, not mine. And that made me think, really, she's tall, but I'm like, there's no way she's taller than Megan Bayne, because Megan Bayne's a big lady. Yep, she's taller than Megan Bayne, because yes, I found footage of the two of them face to face, and she's got at least 2 or 3 inches on Megan Bayne. Lena is everything a women's wrestler needs to be. She's beautiful without having to be trashy. She's incredibly talented. She can wrestle with the little girls. She can wrestle with the big ones. She can do all of the big guy spots, the spots that I've seen for years from guys like Kevin Nash, from guys like Braun Strowman, The Undertaker, those big guy spots. She does all of those, the big boots, the underhooks, all of the things that a big wrestler needs to be able to do, Lena Kross can do. She also has the charisma that goes with a woman her size. She fills that entire body with charisma. I had heard of her. I had seen glimpses of her. I missed the opportunity to go see her in Maine a couple weeks ago, and I'm kicking myself for not having gone to Limitless to see her, because she's fantastic. She gets the big win here with the shoulder breaker, which again is such a great move, because again, it's a big person spot. It's not the spot that somebody 5'0" like Astrid can really do and get over the way it needs to be got over. You need to be a Megan Bayne, a Rhea Ripley, a Lena Kross to be able to really make that move feel like it's a big deal. Again, all of the women here do a really good job. All of the women. I'm still not into Mara Sade. I can't. There's something missing from her, and I just don't know what it is, and I wish I knew. But I'm still not feeling it. Still not feeling it. What did you think? Let's also make sure we go to the chat. Yeah. Stop pressing buttons. No. Lena is huge, and she loves wearing.
Oh no!
Really? Like this? Like to put it in perspective, I think Lena Kross is taller than me. Like, to just put it out there, I'm almost certain she's taller than me. I think I'm taller than Megan, and I think Lena's taller than me. But that's crazy.
I was gonna say, the tallest person that I know is my grandpa. He's probably close to 7 feet.
Okay, well, she's not quite that tall.
So I was gonna say it's not the same for me. And I think the other person that I know is very tall is Bobby. He doesn't look like it online, but he's tall in real person. So I can tell you that much too. But yeah, I feel like Lena is kind of like Emersyn for me in this match. I had seen bits and pieces of her here and there, but I didn't know about her like that. And she, again, a really standout in this match as well. Who, me? Yes, you. You're very tall. Taller than I expected you to be. But yeah, I at one point she launches Nixi into a follow-away slam, and then she does it to Janai and Mara. It is the way she did it. It was so smoothly done. It was great, and there was so many times, like you said, that shoulder breaker at the end for the finisher. I feel like she did very well in this match, and she was like Emersyn for me in this match, really standing out, really doing her moves and being right there in those spots and really showing off herself in a way. She did incredible. For me, another thing is that Janai I knew about her from before. Obviously knew about her MLW stuff. Mariah, we already know from NXT as it is. Nixi has seen her stuff online, but I hadn't seen her in a match. I wish I would have seen a little bit more from her in this match. That would be the only thing, because it was a good introduction, but I wanted more from her. But Lena was definitely like the number one for me here. She was able to like stand out, show off herself, show out the girls too. And such a great powerhouse overall, and I enjoyed her performance here. And like that's why I was saying, like, each one of these matches, I feel like they were so great. I don't know how they picked the winners, because honestly, everybody did really well. Mariah, I was really glad to see her here, like, by herself, even though I miss her in NXT. But I like to see her taking a spotlight and trying to get more experience in the indies. So I'm very like proud of her for like to keep that going.
Also, if you look up how tall is Lena Kross on Google, Pario Magazine comes up with the first result, so with an interview with Lena Kross saying that she is indeed 6 feet tall. So she is indeed taller than me, because I'm 5'11 and a half. So she's just taller than I am. Yeah, I really am. After her match, and I believe that that's the picture that I pulled from, is her match with Megan Bayne on Collision. I'm almost certain that was the match. AEW in their women's division will always confuse me, because they have so many talented women, and yet at the end of the day, it just feels like there's not enough. Whether it's not enough TV time, whether it's not enough women, like it feels like they're always lacking somehow.
And we got new titles coming,
which is great. I know a lot of people are saying that there's too many titles in AEW, and I might be one of them. From the outside looking in, there's a bunch of titles in that company. But women's tag team titles are vitally important, because they, unlike WWE, they have really good women's tag teams already built, because they build factions really well. And they build same-sex factions, as opposed to, we'll build a male faction with a woman in a group. Looking at you, Judgment Day. You've got two now, but, that wasn't the way it was supposed to be. Looking at you, Judgment Day. No. I am not firing up over AEW. I am giving a very well discussioned point, and mostly things that I've heard from her, which is that the women's division is lacking in AEW.
Yeah.
That's a thing that I constantly hear from you, is they're just not doing enough.
I think more than anything, it's like we need to have. We're at a point now that we need more than one women's match per show, and they can be done because NXT does it. They do at least 2 to 3 matches per in a 2-hour show, and they need to move them out of the time slot. We always get them around like 9:30. It's been like for like that since the 5 years that the company has been there. You can have them open. You can have the main event. Play around with it somehow. Take a risk somehow. But I'm glad the women's tag team titles are coming. I'm glad for that.
Yeah.
I'm glad for the blood and guts. It's about time they got something different. We just have the Continental Classic to go. So hopefully soon.
And as Jamie will know, because again, Jamie, as part of the Hive Media, they do their watch along just like Mike does his sidecast. It's always the same 5 women on AEW TV. And it's funny because they have so many talented women. Like, what's Britt Baker doing?
And Deanna, who's stuck in Ring of Honor now.
Well, there are worse things for Deanna to be doing than being on Ring of Honor.
I know, but still, like, people always point out the fact that she is more in the SMHU commercial that she is on TV.
SNHU, which, by the way, is about an hour and a half up the road.
Well, she's more in the commercial. During Dynamite for that than she's in Dynamite. Just to give you.
It's a great school. Let's just say it's a great school.
No, I'm not blaming the school. I'm just saying it's a crime that you see her more in the commercial than you see her in the wrestling show.
But after the first round matches, we've got Lena Kross taking on Billie Starkz, taking on Emersyn, Jayne. And while it might not have been the way I thought it was going to be, this is exactly the 3 I wanted to see in the finale when we get to that match a little bit later on. We're going to move to some men's matches now. I think we've had enough of these women on the show. We've had 3 straight women's matches. We need to see some men. And unfortunately, then they give us Joey Janela, which, come on, we don't need him. Nobody needs him. Let's get him off the TV screen.
Oh, you don't love
forever.
Joey? It's okay.
No.
I don't either.
I think Megan Bain's the only one who loves Joey. Otherwise, I don't think any of us love Joey. Anyways, Nick Comoroto wrestles essentially a singles match, a handicap match, because we're not talking anymore about Joey Janela for the rest of the show. And they take on Bryan Keith and a guy who I've seen once, but never gotten a chance to watch wrestle. But I've been hearing the name a lot because of Fourth Rope, Josh Bishop. Because he was the 3rd person in the Fourth Rope team that did some stuff with the TNA. When Real One, Enzo Amore, and Zilla Fatu came over to TNA. Give me a little bit. What do you think of this match between Nick Comoroto versus Bryan Keith and Josh Bishop?
Well, I'll give you a funny. When I was pasting the card and organizing it for my notes, I only saw the Bishop part, so I thought it was Ben Bishop. And when he didn't come out, I was like, "Oh, what happened to Ben?"
You didn't think it was Bishop Dyer?
I looked up and I said, "Oh, I'm gonna get to see Ben. That's cool." And then I see Joshua come on, and I'm like, "Who is this?" And I looked back at the card, and I'm like, "I read the right part of it. I didn't read the left part of it." So I was like, "Oh, you're another guy. Okay."
By the way, if you want to hear me and Bobby talk about Ben Bishop, you can go back to our narcissistic behavior review where me and Bobby got to see Ben Bishop wrestle.
So I was like, "Oh, that's cool. That's the guy from Twitter that I see now every now and then." And then I realized it's the wrong Bishop.
By the way, Ben Bishop, shout out to Ben Bishop. He is one of the best indie promos in the business. And not for his in-ring promos, for his social media game.
Yeah.
Because he has some top-notch social media game. Tribal Keith, or the WWE Extra, the most extra WWE Extra. If you haven't seen those, Ben Bishop, one of my favorites. Yeah. Tribal Keith is really good.
But WWE Extra is really up there for me, though.
Oh, it's so good. We're gonna sit here and talk more about. Honestly, other than Bryan Keith, I would talk about Ben Bishop all day. But we got to talk about the Bounty Hunter, because the Bounty Hunter is fantastic. Nick Comoroto is a guy that, when I was helping out doing Honor Ramble with Auntie and Kyle a few times, one of the guys I really started to enjoy and wanted to see more of was Nick Comoroto. I love this big, burly, hairy man, Nick Comoroto. Like, there's just something fun about this dude. Because he just looks like a dude. Like, he's not a wrestler. He's a dude. Like, he's just this, like, rip off my shirt, just be out there like lumberjack dude. Bryan Keith is so good. He was doing things on AEW. I don't know if he's still doing things on AEW. He got lost in the Jericho vortex.
I was about to say, since the learning tree is no longer alive, I don't think I've really seen him on TV, to be honest. But
Jamie, you can help us with that. You can help us with that, Jamie. Is Bryan Keith still on AEW at all?
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think I've seen it since the learning tree died, to be honest, and that's just for what I remember from what I can recall. But I have a bad memory too, so that doesn't help. But to me, this match, even with Bryan Keith being there, and don't get me wrong, I like Bryan Keith. So many moments that, okay, we're Collision. That's probably why then I don't watch Collision that often. It just felt like it was more Nick versus Josh more than anything in this match, which I like it because that way we don't have to see Joey at the same time. I like Bryan, but I'm glad I don't have to see Joey in this equation, which I was fine with. But like the way that like the meeting men slapping meat kind of chants that we got during this match, it was so fun. And it just felt like when you have those people just like looking at each other and then they just forget about the world. That's what this match felt like. It's like those two just met and then everybody else forgotten about in this match. But I like having Bryan Keith in here so that way I can see him a little bit more because I don't watch Collision like that, so I don't get to see him often. But I don't care for Joey. So I was glad that it was more like that handicap sort of match. At times I will forget that Joey was Nick's partner, to be honest.
Which is honestly a good thing because Joey Janela is just, as far as I'm concerned, garbage.
And he didn't do anything that stood out in the match either. It was mostly like the stuff with Nick and Joshua because they really took more time in within the match in itself.
And the Bryan Keith heel work here about making sure that he never rests as much as he could, not wrestling Nick Comoroto. I love that every time Nick got in the match, Bryan tried to get out to make sure that the big guy did the work. I do love the finish here. Josh Bishop somehow, some way, gets Nick Comoroto up for that crucifix power bomb, essentially a razor's edge. Goes ahead and gets the crucifix bomb, but as he's getting ready to do it, Bryan Keith tags himself in. And this isn't a, oh my God, Josh gets mad, Bryan Keith tagged himself in. He knew his job. He knew he was the hired help. Stepped aside and let Bryan Keith just walk in the ring, get down and pin Nick Comoroto to get the win. I love it. I love it that Bryan Keith gets this win because he gets the pin, so he got the win. But it was because of the hard work of Josh Bishop that he got it. I think Josh is great. I'm interested to see more of Josh Bishop's work. Maybe we check out some Fourth Rope. Because while I'm not in love with having to watch Enzo wrestle again because oh God, that was enough trying to do that in watching the cruiserweights on 205 Live. I wouldn't hate watching more Zilla Fatu. I wouldn't hate watching more Josh Bishop. He had a lot of charisma. He had a lot of feeling in the things he was doing. It wasn't just big guy does big guy dumb big guy stuff. He has a bit of panache. He has a bit of flavor. He has a bit of a personality, which is intriguing. But again, so far, Emersyn Jade, one to watch. Lena Kross, one to watch. Nixi XS, absolutely one to watch. And by the way, my star of the night. Because like I said, I knew what to expect from Lena Kross. I'd heard enough good things. I was completely surprised by Emersyn Jade. But there's something about Nixi XS and the look and the gimmick and the whole thing that just the bit of theater kid in me loves Nixi XS just so much more because it feels like a little bit geisha, a little bit like theater kid who has way too much time on their hands or like with the face paint and she's just right up my alley. So that's why she's my one to watch. The match was fine. Like, there was a lot of good stuff here, but Joey Janela was here, so it brought it way down. It gets 2 CPA shirts for me because Joey Janela was involved. If this were the handicap match that I remember it is, and remember my notes, it probably would have been 3 CPA shirts. It was a fine match. Speaking of things that weren't fine matches, we're going to get into our GCW hardcore portion of the evening. While they didn't go full death match, thank God, we did have two bald fucks, which is the team name, not just my interpretation of them. Bam Sullivan and Matt Tremont, who are, and again, for those that like the deathmatch style, these guys are right up your alley because these are two of the best deathmatch guys in the country right now. I know Matt Tremont is a really good deathmatch guy. How do I know that? Because I see him wrestling Bear Bronson all over the place in death matches. They also took on Kevin Q and Dominic Garrini in Violence is Forever. I'll be honest, I expected deathmatch and checked the fuck out. This is what it was supposed to be. This was the plunder match. They surrounded the ring with Halloween type stuff, and they surrounded the ring with fucking cookie pans and baking sheets, and the guys hit each other with the fun stuff to make the fun sounds and did the fun stupid shit like slamming a guy on a pumpkin and all that.
I'm about to say dropping each other on the pumpkin, especially.
Fine. Two bald fucks get the win. Yay. Like, this could have been a great match. I don't know. It's not for me. These aren't the guys that I want to watch on a weekly basis. These aren't the guys that I'm going to tune into a show to watch. And again, for the deathmatch people like our own Lauren Goodnight. Our own Lauren Goodnight can't get enough of a good deathmatch, let me tell you. The way she goes on about Swerve Strickland versus Adam Hangman Page, like she had parts of that match as her phone wallpaper.
And I guessed it. I remember.
Yes. But she loves herself a good death match. So she probably would love these guys. Me, on the other hand, it's fine.
Yeah, it was okay.
It was what it was. Is there anything of note that you want to talk about in this match?
Yeah, just like you, I'm not the right audience for this, so I don't want to say too much on it because I feel like I'm gonna end up talking negatively about it, and I don't mean it that way because it's not the wrestler's fault. It's just not something that I'm into, really, no matter who it is so far, unless somebody would change my mind in the future, maybe. But right now, they won't. And it was one of those like, it wasn't my favorite to watch. This is one of the other tag teams as well. It was like, it was okay. It was one of those I was not interested in keeping notes with because it wasn't really something that I could highlight later on, aside from them dropping each other on pumpkins, unfortunately.
And like I said, like Astrid said, I want to reiterate this point. It's because of this isn't our type of thing. Why we're feeling about this way this match. There was nothing wrong with this match, and at the end of the day, it didn't go to the levels I thought it would. It was a generic hardcore WWE match where they just did fun stuff and hit people with funny things to, hype the crowd. It is what it is. The crowd was super into this. The commentators were super into it because at one point people were on the stage where they were. The commentary team was on an elevated portion of the stage in this little venue. And at one point, one of the guys gets up on the elevated stage near them, and Nick about has a fucking mental breakdown, which was great. But again, other than things like that, it just wasn't all that exciting or interesting to me. But again, to people who like this style and like these competitors because of that style, I'm sure they're going to really enjoy this because I'm sure it was just fun. Something that is more my style is a Monster Mash masked Halloween Battle Royal. This is more up my alley. We get Emil J saying that it's going to be a Rumble style with timed intervals for every wrestler to come out. There are going to be 13 competitors because Friday the 13th, spooky number. I'm going to go over the names in the match, and then we're going to go over the eliminations and any fun things that we had here. So we had entering number 1, Jay Lucas. Entering number 2, we had Griffin McCoy. Entering number 3, we had Sal Miestra. Entering number 4, we had Gary J. Entering 5, we had Jake Parnell. Number 6 was Hunter Drake. Number 7th, we thought was going to be Ava Everett. Turned out to be LSG. Number 8, we had Tony Deppen. Number 9, we had Tank. To which in my notes originally I put Tank Abbott, thinking this was Tank Abbott from WCW 2000, the MMA fighter, and indeed it was not. It was just some big older guy named Tank. At number 10, we had WWE ID's Sam Hollowell from Evolve. At number 11, we had Fancy Ryan Clancy with potentially the Independent Wrestling Match of the Year when he won the WWE, the WWE ID title, when he won the Independent Wrestling Championship from Marcus Mathers a few weeks ago at Beyond Wrestling and Wrestling Open. At number 12, we had Oni King. And at number 13, we had friend of the show, Matt Mako. Matt Mako was on the Action Pro Wrestling show, I believe it is, that we covered.
I think so.
We like Matt Mako a lot. Astrid, what did you think of the Battle Royal here?
I like how fun it was because everybody came out with a mask on. They all had a Halloween type theme song coming out of it too, so they never knew who was coming out until they took off the mask. I mean, some you can guess by their body type if you knew who they were, but you wouldn't really know until they took off the mask. So I think that was fun. I like the mixture because we have people that were like powerhouses. We have people that were high flyers too. So we had a good mixture of, those type of styles within the match in itself here. I was more familiar with like Tony Deppen because of his matches with Billie Starkz. So I knew of that name as it was before. Ryan Clancy, another one. Sam Holloway was one that I hadn't really seen much of before. And he really is one that really was a highlight for me in this match. But I feel like they had everybody had good chemistry. They all had our fun spots and spots to show off the powerhouses and the LSG type of spots that were kind of funny there too, to distract us from everything. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I did like how it ended too, with Ryan winning. I like the fact that he went from a submission to actually getting Salmon eliminated at the end. I thought it was something very clever and a different way to really eliminate somebody.
Yeah, I thought this was fantastic. There's a bunch of names. Jay Lucas is part of Action Pro Wrestling. The him and Teriyaki are the tag team champions over there in Action Pro Wrestling. Like I said, Matt Mako is a name that I'd heard before. Fancy Brian Clancy, somebody I get to see a good amount being in the Northeast. Sam Holloway, I see a fair bit on Evolve when I watch Evolve on the Tubi with the WWE ID talents. Of course, we know LSG. I've seen a bunch of Tony Deppen. Again, slightly different reason. I've not seen any of his work with Billie Starkz, but I've seen other Tony Deppen matches, and I love Tony. I think Tony's a fantastic professional wrestler. This was a bunch of fun. This was exactly what it needed to be. It was a bunch of fun. It was a good way to get a bunch of people on the show, to have something fun happen, to let the crowd really get into it. Griffin McCoy stood out for me as a standout in this, being total douchebag Miz type heel, where he'd get out of the ring and on purposely go through the under the bottom rope or through the second rope and make sure to check with the referee that he's clear and then sit out there. And I thought he was going to win for a period of time because I know Ashton's rule. When a guy disappears for a majority of the match and he pops back in, he's going to win the match. And I was like, oh no, Griffin's going to win. Oh no. But no, Griffin doesn't win. Ryan Clancy gets the big win. And I was surprised. Because at that point, I thought it was going to be Hallowell because I was like, well, Clancy's doing a lot with Beyond Wrestling. He's a big name right now. He's going to be a little bit less available. Nope. The WWID guy doesn't get the win. Ryan Clancy gets it. Fun match. I really enjoyed this. A guy I want to pay a little more attention to because there's a name I hadn't heard before and I hadn't seen, Oni King. Oni King had an interesting look in a wrestling style that I want to see a little more of. So, yeah, that was very fun. But we're now to Astrid's main event of the night because this is going to be guaranteed Astrid's match of the night. Mine's still to come a bit later. Billie Starkz versus Emersyn Jayne versus Lena Kross in an elimination triple threat to be crowned the Luna Invitational winner. Astrid, what you got?
I mean, it was a really fun match. I feel like this is one of them that could have easily main evented this show as well. And it would have been great as a highlight there too. And again, it's just a little bit more of reflections of what I mentioned earlier. It's Lena and Emersyn did really well about showing themselves off. Billie is already great as it is, so that was fun to watch them. And they had such great chemistry. I like the fact that it was elimination, so at least we could get a little bit more out of it. It wasn't just a one fall type of match, so we have a little bit more time than usual to get this really going at the end. One thing that I really loved was that Spanish fly for Emersyn with Billie in the corner. That was just beautiful to watch. I was just surprised that Lena got eliminated first because being like the bigger person, you kind of expect the other two to like really team up with her like that. Um, but at the end, she's the first one that gets eliminated, so I was kind of disappointed she was the first one. But again, it's like they really, that's why I say it's so hard to pick a winner because Emersyn was also a standout in here. But when you think about the three names, Billie Starkz is the one with the like the biggest name out of the three here so far, based on her experience in the indie scene. So for me, it makes sense that she wins as well. So again, you can never go wrong with any of the picks too. That's another thing. It's like either one or the three could have won, and I would have been happy about it. But I feel like they had such a great chemistry. It was such fast paced, such go 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 type of match, and they really well using everything they used around the ring and the spacing they had. And again, it's like that's why I said all the women's matches were a highlight for me, and the battle royal was the other thing that was a highlight for me too.
I loved this match. I thought it was great. I thought all three women worked well together. I love the shock of Lena not getting to move on to the final two in this match and Emersyn pinning Lena. And I thought that was great because it gives Emersyn something. And again, I'm going to go to a quote from a person that Astrid despises me talking about on this show, but he has the quote that I will never forget, and he's the only person I've ever heard say it. In the wrestling business, there are two things. One person goes over and somebody else gets over. Emersyn Jade in this match got over while Billie Starkz got to go over. Billie Starkz gets the win to win the thing and do all the thing. But Emersyn comes out of this, in my mind, as a much bigger star, as somebody that I need to watch, as the one to watch from this women's tournament. As much as I love some of the other competitors like Lena Kross, like Nixi XS, at the end of the day, I need to see more of Emersyn Jayne because she impressed me so much in all of this. She got over while Billie Starkz went over. And I know Astrid hates it when I talk about bullying, but it's a fantastic line, and it's always true. No matter what wrestling match you're talking about, that's a good wrestling match that comes out and does the things it's supposed to do. Does two things: somebody goes over, somebody gets over. And in this case, that's what happened. Billie gets the win, as she should. She is the biggest star in this tournament. There's no reason not to let her win this tournament. I think it's fantastic. I think it was exactly what it needed to be. I think Luna would have been very happy with the women in this tournament, with the types of women that they had, with the matches they had, and the styles of wrestling that were in here. Looking back on Luna's career, I think it was a very well done tribute to the career of a fantastic women's wrestler and a person in women's wrestling who meant a lot at a very time where women didn't matter in the wrestling business as much. In that early 90s and, before and afterwards, women didn't matter much except to be an object a lot in the early days of professional wrestling. And in a lot of ways, more modern than way back, but especially with the Attitude Era and things that came beyond that, Luna exemplified being able to have a look and a style that was different. The person who I always think of when I think of Luna is I think of Paige, that anti-diva that Paige was back in the early days of Paige being in WWE. I think Saraya always represented Luna Vachon in that way because her and AJ Lee were those anti-divas. They weren't the models that you're going to put on the cover of a Raw magazine or in a photo spread, but they could wrestle. They could get their point across. The wrestling was the most important thing. And that's what we had here. We had women in this tournament who wrestling is their most important thing. These women are beautiful in a variety of different ways and a variety of different packages. But at the end of the day, all of these women are fantastic and professional wrestlers. And that's what came out across this whole tournament. And that's why I loved these four matches. I thought they were all fantastic for that reason. Anything else you want to say about the Luna Invitational before we move on?
No, I'm like I said earlier, I'm glad that it was a different kind of invitational. It wasn't one of the usual names that we pick and that we see all the time. It was a great tribute. And I feel like with the ladies they picked, it was great representation to have because it was a little bit for everything, different styles, different backgrounds, and everything. And I hope that they see that if it is successful, that they continue to do it at least on a yearly basis.
We then move on to my match of the night, which was, as I call it, Team Action versus Team JCW. Team South versus Team North would be another way to look at it. We have Adam Priest, Darian Bankston, and Lee Moriarty. These are three names we talked about. We've talked about Adam Priest and Darian Bankston when we talked about Action Pro Wrestling. We've talked about Lee Moriarty when we talked about Dean 3. Also, we both know Lee Moriarty as the Ring of Honor Pure Rules champion, which means Auntie Collins is already excited about this match. Although he didn't do anything that he'd do in a Pure Rules match in this match for sure. He was the anti-Pure Rules Lee Moriarty in this match. And they were going against Marcus Mathers, the Prize City OG, Alex Price, somebody I'm familiar with, who I'm very interested to see what Astrid thought of. And Astrid, who was the third man in this on that team? Did he matter tonight?
Yeah, he did.
Is it because he wasn't facing Mr. Santana, the TNA World Heavyweight Champion, that he mattered in this match?
Sure.
Of course, if you don't know what we're talking about, I'm giving Astrid a little bit of shit because the last time we talked about Jordan Oliver, Astrid said he didn't matter when talking about him versus Mike Santana.
I joked about it just in case.
This match was sensational. This was high-flying ground wrestling. It was a little bit of everything. And I loved seeing... I've not yet gotten to see Adam Priest really work heel before. I think he worked a lot of heel here. At one point, he kissed Marcus Mathers on the forehead to get in Mathers' head. He was cheating a bit. Everybody in this match was cheating a little bit. Lee Moriarty was doing very un-Lee Moriarty things. He's doing very Shane Taylor Promotions things, but he wasn't doing Lee Moriarty Pure Rules things. Darian Bankston is that big name, that up-and-coming name. If you haven't seen Darian Bankston in your local promotions, reach out to your local promotions and ask them to bring Darian Bankston in. He's something special. Adam Priest, I swear, is going to get signed by AEW at some point soon. Because the stuff he did with the Revival, do I still have it? Hold on. Do I still have the footage? I do. Wait, no, I don't. I'm sorry, I lied. I don't have the footage anymore.
Oh, wait, which one was it?
It was the one with Adam Priest taking the DDT on the apron from FTR.
Oh, didn't I send it to you?
You did, but it's not in the back end right now, so I can't just...
but I can find it probably if I send it to you.
All right. I love this. I really enjoyed everything that happened here. I think Alex Price is a breakout star as soon as somebody gives him the opportunity to really run with it. He's doing a lot of promotions, but he's not getting those big opportunities to be the champion of those promotions that he's going to. He's just going out there and putting on incredible matches. And he has such an interesting look with the slick, wet, grungy hair and the tape on the shoulder. And he wrestles that ground style with the ability to high fly with the best of them so well. He reminds me of a Tyler Black from Ring of Honor. Not necessarily as Seth Rollins, but more of that Tyler Black, God's greatest gift, Tyler Black stuff. I think that's what Alex Price reminds me of a lot. Jordan Oliver is fantastic here. And of course, Team JCW gets the win with Marcus Mathers hitting a big 450 to get the win. Astrid, what did you think of this match while you continue to look for that clip?
Yeah. I really enjoyed it. And one thing that really stood out to me is that when I saw Alec and Jordan as a tag team, all I can think about and they mentioned it here too, about that when the way they do like nonverbal communication with each other, it reminded me a lot of the way that Ace Austin and Chris Bay wrestle together. that like non-communication about their timing is just amazing to see because they look like they're so in sync. I don't know how they do it, but I love how they do it. And to me, it's such an explainable way, the way they have that chemistry. And it really reminded me so much of them. I feel like I was watching them all over again. And I just loved it because I loved Ace Austin and Chris Bates together as a team. And I feel like the teams here has such a great chemistry with each other. I like the fact that they isolated Marcus for most of this match. And the heel team was always like heavy hip in their corner for a while. So it took a while for him to even tag in his partners. And I liked how the way it ended too because I like that like splash like swanton kind of combination in the 450 at the end. I like how everybody was able to do a move before the match ended in itself. And having everybody involved the way they did, I feel like it was great overall. But this out of the every tag team that we had in this whole episode, this whole show, this was my favorite tag team that we had out of the night. So this is the one that really stood out to me the most.
I really want to cover more Alex Price shows because I want you to see more Alex, because I think you're going to really dig the vibe that he gives. Because again, I know how much of a Seth Rollins fan you are. And I'm like, I think you can see it, like having watched this match and having heard me say it. You get the vibe I'm talking about with how he is a very, like a young Seth Rollins type. A Tyler Bat. Okay. I love how you play it out loud so I can hear it.
No, I was not expecting it to play.
Yeah. Like I said, that was my match of the night. It's just absolutely sensational. I'm going to see if I can wait long enough to Astrid to put this into the back end so we can finish talking about Adam Priest. Because again, he needs to be signed by AEW. As I think he'll do fantastic there. He fits right in with all of those people in all of the wonderful things they do. And he just really is a guy who can do it all. He can fly if he needs to. He can wrestle the ground. His ground game is just sensational. And again, he's bald like a lot of these other, AEW guys. Ricochet. Is it Dash? Is it Dash or is it Dax, the bald one in FTR? I forget.
It's probably Dax.
To a headbutt. I believe so. I thought maybe a knee from the top. Oh my God! What did we just?
Yeah. When I say he can do everything, he can do things like that. All right, Dax is the bald one. Okay.
Yep.
I know there's the bald one and then there's the other one. I always forget which one's which. I know who both of them are. I just can never remember which one's which until I'm looking at them.
There you go.
We move on to Mad Dog Connolly. I believe Mad Dog Connolly was on the Dean 3 show that we covered, if I'm correct. He was in that match with the guy with the eye. Remember?
I was gonna say I thought his name sounded familiar.
And he was joined by his tag team partner Beastman to form Beast Dog to take on the Cowboy Way, the one called Manders of MLW fame, somebody who was on MLW for a while. I know that. And Thomas Shire. This match was fine. It was another let's go around the whole building, brawling in and out of the crowd. It was what it was. Again, I think this would have been great for people who knew what was going on and knew the story because they show us a video package of stuff leading up to this. And I'm like, that all makes sense. That's really cool. And then we got this match and I'm like, but these weren't the guys we were just showing in the clip. Like, what's going on here? The one thing that I took note of is, sir, you're an independent wrestler. There are wrestlers at their merch tables. How dare you bring the action where you almost took over a merch table? How dare you, sir? Do you not know that's how the independent wrestlers make a majority of their money on the indies is by selling their merch? You are said independent wrestler. How dare you? Like they walked past Lena Kross's table. Don't ruin her table. How dare you?
Yeah.
This was fine. Like the Cowboy Way get the win, but really they come out losing because they get beaten the shit out of after the match. And then the Ramp Way gets the little The little thing that all the wrestlers come out of, their little
Oh, yeah.
makeshift curtain gets knocked down during the entrance and the exit.
Mm-hmm.
It was fine.
Mm.
And this is the main event. And it felt, I was really, really cheated. I was like, really? This is what you're gonna main event with this over Billie Starkz winning the Luna? I'm like, and there was a bit of time left, and I was like, something. You kept showing us Charles Mason, and I'm like, there's got to be something going on. But before we get to Charles Mason, let's go ahead and talk. What did you think of this tag match?
This was the one that was also one that I hate to say it that way because it's nothing to do with the wrestler. Just I couldn't connect with it. I really couldn't compare to the. That's why I said that these two tag team matches, the hardcore one from earlier and this one, I couldn't connect the way I wanted to, unfortunately. And it's not the wrestlers' fault. I just couldn't connect with the story that they had going on. And everything happening after the ring is like one thing happening here, one thing over here separately. I feel like that wasn't great for me because I like to concentrate in one place. I can't keep notes on one thing, what something else is happening over here, and I don't want to go back and like kind of like rewind it to like watch it all over again. So I feel like that was very distracting for me, having them two different parts of the venue in itself instead of just being kind of around each other. And I don't want to say having a normal tag team match, but like at least being in like somewhat of the same like area so we could see it in one camera. But yeah, it just wasn't my cup of tea.
I did like the split screen, like at least how they didn't just have like guys fighting somewhere and being like, oh, this is happening over there, and like kept switching. I like how they at least gave us a both shots at the like that. That's a positive. I'll say in this respect is I like the ability to have the two cameras going at once, which again is something common and expected in like WWE, AEW, TNA. But for an independent promotion, that's a big deal to be able to have that split screen on a live broadcast, like not even an edited broadcast, but a live broadcast.
Yeah, I was gonna say also to piggyback off of that, I like that the fact that they were able to have the two screens because, like you said, not a lot of promotions have it, and to have a replay because there's moments that I love the moments and I wanted to watch them again and I had to rewind them, and that the point that they have a replay right there and then at the live show as it was happening, it's like I love this. It looks so great and amazing to watch on screen.
And again, this is one of the reasons why I say GCW, while it's not my cup of tea, it's not a promotion I thoroughly enjoy. They're vital for the business because they are everything that an independent promotion needs to be, which is they've got good tech, they've got good commentary, they've got a good ring announcer, they've got, the ability to kind of do the things that the big companies do. They can do a replay. And again, replays are hard in an independent promotion because your people aren't WWE or AEW. They're not fully trained television people. These are people that you're hiring to help you do an independent show. And the pay isn't great and the technology is expensive. So to be able to have the technology to do things like this is vital. Which leads me to another point that I mentioned to Bobby, and it was a question I asked him. Invest in a fucking ring mat, motherfuckers. Like the duct tape on the ring mat bothered me the entire night. The entire night. To the point where I messaged Bobby during the opening shot. And I was like, how much does a ring canvas actually cost? Like, is it like some crazy expensive thing? And he's like, no. It's like $600, $700, $800 Canadian. It's like, it's affordable-ish Canadian. So like, it's not, if you're booking talent like Bryan Keith and Billie Starkz and, Charles Mason and other names like Cruel who weren't on the show and Shotzi, and you've got the GCW pocketbook behind you. Can you get a better ring mat? Like, come on.
I thought at first it was some kind of like stain of like kind of like a water stain, like liquid or some should perform. So I was like, I wonder why they haven't cleaned that up. And then I realized throughout the matches that it was still there and people were resting on top of it. So I was like, this is not liquid then. So I was like, why is that still there? And it's like, even though the canvas is like dark, you can still notice the difference because it really stands out to all of us. So I thought it was ironic too.
And by the way, just to tell you how irritated it made me, I literally sent this picture to Bobby. Being like, I get it. Stuff is expensive. And we just talked about how expensive the technology is and stuff like that. But come on. Please invest in a new ring mat before the next show. Please and thank you. I beg of you. I understand you're a deathmatch company and maybe that's part of it, but come on. Then we get to the post-main event angle. Charles Mason comes out and he says, look, if the redheaded she-devil isn't going to be here, just give me the fucking title. I've earned it. I'm the number one contender. And I thought, that's weird, because I remember them saying earlier in a video package when they were talking about Billie Starkz, how she won some kind of scramble match to become the number one contender. But I'm like, there must have been something that happened between then and like Charles saying it, because I get Charles as a heel and a dick, but like, I figured he doesn't lie all the time too. And he says, I want to be declared the JCW champion. And I go, it's interesting. Why is he asking to be declared a champion? Like, why is there, oh, there's a very good reason why they're trying to figure this out. The title was vacated after a certain individual in the wrestling business got accused on social media of doing some pretty terrible things. And she is no longer taking part in the wrestling industry. So the redheaded she-devil, with all of that context, you should be able to figure out who we're talking about, was the former JCW champion and is no longer. Brian Keith comes out with a box and says, the Foxcatcher has a gift for you. And he goes ahead and opens it, and it's the JCW World Championship. And Mason is apparently the new champion until Billie Starkz comes out. She's like, look, I may have wrestled twice here tonight, but this shit isn't going to fly. I won the scramble match. I became the number one contender. I don't know what matches you think you've won to become the number one contender. But look, if you think you've got a claim to that, that's fine. I'll wrestle you right here, right now, and winner takes that championship. Mason's in a beautiful three-piece suit, by the way. Looking fine as he always does, Charles Mason. Looking great. And Billie Starkz has already wrestled twice. This is not an advisable decision by Billie Starkz, because wrestling Charles Mason, period, is a difficult challenge to do. This man is a fantastic professional wrestler. You haven't had the opportunity to really see him. I believe the only time you've gotten to see him is on the Americarana show, correct? When he teamed with the Stetson Ranch to take on Big Business.
But I've seen clips of him and Billie before.
Okay. They have a fantastic feud, by the way. These two, this is not new for them. They know exactly what buttons to push on each other, which is great.
I have a funny story about this, because while I was watching this earlier, my dad was looking over my shoulder. He goes, what is that? And I'm like, he's like, what does it stand for? And I go, Jersey Championship Wrestling, JCW. He's like, okay. And then he looks like itty bitty Billie. He goes, is that man beating up the young girl?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Very violently, by the way.
And he goes, oh, so the guys wrestled the girl. So I'm like, I didn't know what else to say to him. I feel so bad. I mean, how do I explain this to him when he doesn't watch any of it?
And Charles Mason, like, let's, when we talk about laying it in, Charles lays it in to Billie.
I could see him like in the corner, like looking over his shoulder, like so concerned for Billie. And I'm like, yeah, I've interviewed her before. Like, I'm familiar with her. He's like, oh, okay, that's cool. And then he just keeps looking, like he's so concerned by the way that Charles is handling Billie. And I couldn't help myself. I was trying not to laugh, because my dad's used to watching the WCW, the WWE, the TNA. It's not often that you get to see the men versus women type of matches. So when I see him over the corner, kind of concerned that Billie's wrestling this grown-ass man, and I'm like, if only he knew that this is all this girl does. That's what she's known for. But I was like, I just couldn't explain it to him, and I felt so bad. And I looked at him and was like, yeah, the guy just beating up the girl. Yeah. I'm like, why is this happening to me right now? But it was just, it's one of those things. It feels like a long way to explain it, but I was like, how do I tell him that this is what she's known for?
Yeah, no, this is exactly what, and again, like when we talk about Charles being like this is the man we're talking about. Like, he's a maniacal, good-looking dude. Like, he knows what he's doing, and he's violent. He's violent. This short match is fantastic, by the way. I was certain that Billie was going to lose this match just because you have the built-in excuse. She's wrestled twice already. This is her third match of the night. Charles is, like he's unscathed. He just came out to cut this promo to get this championship. Bryan Keith comes back out at one point and pulls the referee out as Billie's about to get the win. I'm like, okay, there you go. There's Billie's visible win. Bryan pulls the ref out. We can go ahead and just end this now. No, Marcus Mathers comes running out of nowhere, beats the hell out of Bryan, does a DDT to Charles, and then chases Bryan. He steals the thumb drive that has the bounty on it from the Foxcatcher. So that'll be an interesting story to see going forward with these two. Charles catches Billie's swanton to win the match. And I'm like, well, there we go. Now he's going to get the submission and win. No. Billie reverses out of it and pins Charles Mason to become the brand new JCW World Champion. She won 2 different types of trophies in the same night. Congratulations to Miss Billie Starkz. She is indeed one of the best professional wrestlers in the world today. And again, give her the fucking Ring of Honor title already please, for the love of God. Because we're getting to Billie Starkz versus Athena time again. And I say that because this is the time of year, the last 2 years, where we've booked at the December pay-per-view. I forget the name of it is. It's not Final Countdown. What is the what is the ROH pay-per-view that always happens in December?
I know, I'm looking it up.
Okay.
I keep forgetting the name of it too.
Me too. And I'm so mad. Final Battle. There we go. The last 2 years, I believe, it's been Athena versus Billie Starkz at that show. Because I remember 2 years ago, me, you, and Kyle covered that show. And we talked about how Billie should have won it then. And then I was certain Billie was going to win it last year in Final Battle, and she didn't. Just give her the fucking Ring of Honor World Championship already, for the love of God. Women's World Championship. I mean, you can give her Bandito's title too if you want, but Lord knows Bandito doesn't need that. He's got Brodito going, and it's fantastic. That was JCW, and I got to say, I was impressed. I like this. This is a great show. Like I said, I thought the 4 women's matches were fantastic, but that 6-man tag was just lights out. Fantastic match of the night for me.
Yeah.
Overall, what do you give JCW Possession?
I would say a 4 out of 5. Are we doing CPA shirts again?
Everything on this show is CPA shirts.
So 4 out of 5. Because I feel like the 2 tag team matches kind of brought it down for me a little bit, but everything else overall was really great.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's a 4 out of 5. Less Joy Janela probably would have been a 4.5. It was the tag matches in Joey Janela. And it wasn't just one of the tag matches. It was really all 3 tag matches that were just straight tags that kind of brought this show down for me. But again, personal preference with the talent in the ring, personal preference with the style of the wrestling they're just stories that are told in matches that I don't connect with on a personal basis. Those are the types of things I don't really connect with. Astrid, where can people find you?
You can find me again next week, at least for now. I'm kidding. Taking over. I forgot which one we're doing next week.
I have all of that ready to go.
But yeah, aside from that, you can find me on my Twitter and Blue Skies, Astrid Pizarro, my Instagram and Threads, that's Pizarro20. And before I keep forgetting about it, you can scan the QR code. Yeah, you can do the For You Word t-shirt, which is the one that Mel and Mike are modeling right there. And I also have the Dive Shop one. Again, the prices are the same. It just a little bit goes back to me, which we use later on for what we do here, basically for the Canva and stuff like that, for the graphics that Ed likes to use. And if you don't, Christmas is coming up. I also have the Hot Topic storefront. Again, same thing. We also have the Rhea Ripley and Terrifier collaboration. Scan the QR code, same prices. It's just a little bit of it goes back to me.
Yeah. Speaking of, you can find all my crap here. It doesn't much matter. It's TGI. But you're here at the very end of the show, STG. I don't know if that really counts. This is your first comment, and we're an hour and 20 minutes into the show doing the last couple things. But I'm glad you're here, STG, because you're going to be very excited with the show that we're covering next week. Because we are covering PPW Ring of Horrors. We are covering the match between El Assassino and Michael Allen Richard Clark. We are covering Mark versus El Assassino for the PPW World Championship. And of course, we can't talk about PPW without one of the voices of PPW. And unfortunately, Papa Smokes was unavailable because, trust me, we wanted Papa Smokes. We've settled for Bobby Munson. So we tried to get El Assassino. He didn't respond. No surprise. You know, he's a very busy man. He's got things to do. So he wasn't able to join us. We tried to get Papa Smokes, but again, it costs too much. His ticker is very expensive. So getting him on the show was just...
Oh.
You really don't? Oh, okay. That'll be fun because I do know the result. And I was about to spoil it, but I'll leave it be then. Also, I want to let you all know that this is not a show that you're going to be able to watch on your own beforehand because unfortunately we're getting a commentary-less copy of this show from PPW. We want to thank them for giving us a copy of this show in advance to it going out on YouTube. So we want to thank them personally very much. We greatly appreciate this opportunity to talk about PPW. And we've agreed to let Munson join us because they wanted one of the PPW commentators and Papa Smokes was unavailable. He doesn't work Tuesdays. Like Triple H, he doesn't work Tuesdays. I really wish Munson were still listening because this is really just done just to see if I could tweak it at all. We love Bobby. We're very excited to work with Bobby. This is all just meant to tweak Bobby. Also, if you haven't already, please, Brainbuster Battle Royal Trivia is a fantastic new show by Blue, who was our guest last week on the Ashe Wrestling Show. So definitely go ahead and check that out. The shows have been fantastic. I've been enjoying all of that. So that's very great. Also, me and Astrid now have shows. Let me just double check the listing here. We have the pinned message. Yes, we have shows all the way through pretty much the end of the year. We need it. We're looking at shows for 12/2, and then we need shows for 12/30 and 12/23. But we've got shows already lined up for the next couple of weeks. We've got West Coast Pro coming in 2 weeks. We've got Fight Life, the Seance show coming up in 3 weeks. That'll be me with a special guest because Astrid is unavailable for that show. So I'll be joined by a special guest. I've got something in the works that I'm really hoping works out because of that show. But we'll see. And then, of course, we're going to be doing Ashe Wrestling on the 9th. We're announcing that one in advance because we have a special guest that we've almost got locked down, I believe.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty confirmed, right?
Yeah.
And then, of course, we've got As Good as Gold and Uprising, which I believe we're doing as a double review on the same night, correct?
Probably.
Okay, we're going to do both of those shows as one. Astrid's like, these are things that she's already said to me, and now I'm saying them out loud. Sure. And she's like, maybe, sure.
I guess.
You do know that it's going to be like a 3-hour show, right?
No, we're not doing that.
So we're going to do them back-to-back weeks then.
I don't know. Just keep going. You're going to be here like we're going to meet.
That's the last of it. That's the last show we have booked.
Yeah.
The funny part is I made sure I cleared all of this with her 2 days ago so that when I announced all of this, it would be okay. Yes, I know. It's about 90 minutes.
90 minutes sounds like a lot.
90 minutes is a lot to deal with me. It's very hard to deal with me for more than 90 minutes.
Yeah, imagine.
Thank you all for my poor girlfriend, man.
Remind me to mail her a trophy, okay?
She'll love it. She will absolutely love it. For myself, For the Natural Ash Pizarro, thank you for joining us. We greatly appreciate it. We'll see you all next week when we cover PPW with Bobby Munson. Goodbye.
I am in misery.